Hey there everybody, welcome back to Storytime with Jasper. I hope that you're all doing well and that you are ready for another story today. So, if you haven't already, make yourself comfortable, find somewhere nice to be able to relax. Make sure you got yourself a comfortable pillow or something like that, comfy clothes. Maybe you even got your favorite plushie with you. I got Zilla with me as always, and we are ready to bring you another story today. And that story is written by Andrea Beaty and illustrated by David Roberts. And that story is Rosie Revere Engineer. So, we're gonna get jumping right into our story. So, I hope you're ready. If not, I don't know, pause me if it's, recorded. But we're gonna get started. So, Rosie Revere Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Leela Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. Can you see where Rosie is in this picture? She's sitting down very quietly, very calmly, very shyly. Did you see Rosie Revere? But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. So look at, she's gathering supplies. What is she going to use those supplies for? See, alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed where they'd never be seen. Wow, look at all of these wild and crazy things that Rosie has invented. All these engineering feats that she has done. That is a lot of crazy stuff to fit underneath your bed. You see, when Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooping over one eye and made fine inventions for uncles and aunts. A hot dog dispenser and helium pants. That'd be crazy to have a balloon for pants. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head. From parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. Look at that. That looks like it's doing its job pretty nicely. Nice little invention there, Rosie. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knee and chuckled aloud. He laughed till he wheezed, his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, and dismayed. She looked at the cheese hat and then looked away. "I love it!" Fred hooted. "Oh, I truly do!" But Rosie Revere knew that could not be true. She stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, kept her dreams to herself. I don't know, Uncle Fred. He says he loves it, but he's laughing. How can he love it if he's laughing? That doesn't make any sense. And that's how it went, until one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of the things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked into the sky. The only thrill left on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. Aw, poor great Aunt Rose. She did one last dream that she has to do. That night, as Rosie lay wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, "No, not I." But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight, and this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. Looks like she has got an idea. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone, then hauled her cheese copter out onto the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. That is huge. She said it was a cheese copter? What does that even mean? Strapped into the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The helio cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and whirled round and round, then froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. Oh no, Rosie. Oh, I hope she's okay. Whew. It looks like she's fine. Then Rosie heard laughter and turned round to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, "Oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build a lever or switch or a gear. And never will I be a great engineer." Who's the old lady that was laughing? It's great Aunt Rose. Why is she laughing? What's going on? Rosie turned around to leave, but then great Aunt Rose grabbed hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close, and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. "You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next." Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. "I failed," said dear Rosie. "It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed." "Yes," said her great aunt. "It crashed, that is true, but first it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew." There's her aunt giving her a hug. It's so nice. "Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next." She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, but this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. So the only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. We can do it, is what it says on the airplane. Or the cheese copter. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. Look at all those different inventions, and there's Rosie. You see her? Everyone seems to be having little flops of their inventions, but everybody is still proud, and they can stand tall and cheer, but not quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. And that is the story of Rosie Revere, the engineer. Now, there is actually a little bit of a historical note because this book is actually based off of things that actually happened a long time ago. You see, during World War II, millions of women in the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the Soviet Union, and all other allied nations, they worked to provide the food and equipment needed for the war effort. Now, some worked on farms to grow food for the troops, others they built ships, airplanes, tanks, and jeeps. With the help of many women, Africa... Ooh, I read that wrong. Alright, so, pause real quick here, James. So, we're gonna have to go back to the... I think I'm gonna have to cut out that... The historical note was kind of an impromptu kind of thing. So let's go back to, we'll go back a couple pages. I'll just get in pose here and I'll clap. So, get back in pose. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear, to dream the bold dreams of a great engineer. Look at that. It says, "We can do it," right on the side of her cheese copter. That's awesome. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. With each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proudly as Rosie Revere. And that is the story of Rosie Revere, engineer. Isn't that great? You see, even in your own story today, remember, your story is special and unique. Nobody has their story exactly like your story. But even in your story, maybe you make an accident, you make a mistake. That doesn't mean it's the end of the world. A small little failure is just one step away from becoming something amazing, becoming something great if you don't give up. So, I'm hoping today that as you go about your own story today, that you don't give up. If you really want to do something amazing, if you think you have a great idea, the worst thing that can happen is that you'll fail. And that, we just found out, is not a bad thing. Failure is only bad if you quit. Otherwise, you are probably one step away from doing something great and helping make your story a good one. So, thank you very much for hanging out with me during this story, and I hope that you guys take care of yourselves. See ya, see ya!